Good evening, everyone. This is Reading for Charity again on a Wednesday. And today we're going to briefly be looking at the yellow wallpaper. Not, as you may have been expecting, the Wolves of Calla, because, you know, bookmark's still in that one, still going. So there's another filler being put in its place. The Dark Tower series is super thick. I mean, you can see the difference in the size is slightly different. But once I'm past the Dark Tower, there's no chunk of reading that's going to be as big as the Dark Tower, so I can actually get ahead of the game again. The spiel I'm supposed to do at the start every time. This is a charity read. If you've never seen any of these before. The idea is to read 100 books in a year, fueled entirely by donations. So people who donated money got to choose the books I read, which has resulted in some very pleasant reads and some absolute troll reads. Thankfully, so far they've been more pleasant to troll. The troll ratio has been quite low. I've been collecting money for the Archie Foundation, which is a fantastic charity that raises money for sick kids in the northeast of Scotland, and does some fantastic work, and I'm very, very proud to support them with this endeavour. And if it succeeds, we'll do this again, hopefully, maybe support another charity, maybe support the same one, we'll see. I've got some plans for that already. I need to start thinking about if I want to turn into reality at the end of this year. But anyway, yes, the yellow wallpaper and other stories. I had heard of Charlotte Gilman, but I'd never actually read any of her stuff, probably to my shame or my ignorance. She's down as the mother of feminist literature, I think is the correct way to put it. And she starts back further than I thought she would, actually. So the first book in this, The Yellow Wallpaper, the story, is from the 19th century. It's 1892 it was written. And we'll start with that one. We'll kind of go through the rest of them a little bit. But The Yellow Wallpaper is a fantastic read. And I sat there reading it going, this surely isn't a feminist author. This is surely Lovecraft I'm reading. The story, the Yellow Wallpaper is the story of a woman's descent into insanity. And if you've ever read Lovecraft, the feel of the book will be very, very, very familiar to you. I actually had to go and check the dates of Gilman and Lovecraft, just because the writing style was so similar. And Gilman was first, so I'm wondering if H.P. Lovecraft read The Yellow Wallpaper as part of a blueprint for the books that he wrote. I'll have to go and ask a certain person I know who did their PhD on Lovecraft to see if that's true or not. But it feels like it should be, because the style is very similar indeed. And the book, the story I should say, because there's several short stories. The Yellow Wallpaper, it's a fantastic little read. Not going to spoiler it in any way, shape or form, because the story itself is 15-20 pages long or something. But it's a lovely little short story, and it's one of those stories that's written so well. It could have been written in the 19th century. It could have been written yesterday, but it does assume a certain social class, I think. Again, it's an American Northeast author. It's the New England kind of. All the New England authors do seem to be obsessed with horror and a little bit upper class snobbery. I don't know why that is. Not knowing, as much as I should about the American geopolitical system when it comes to individual states. I can probably speak more on a national level. The New England authors always do seem to be obsessed with class and obsessed with horror. And that kind of not the horror bit. The horror bit is only the single story at the start for The Yellow Wallpaper. The rest of the stories do not touch upon horror in any way, shape or form. They are purely social dramas. I wasn't really sure what to expect of the social dramas. You know, these days the word feminism in 2017 has a divisive connotation attached to it. You know, for example, the book I read earlier this year, the Animal, autobiography of a female body, if I got the title correct, classed itself as a feminist novel, a feminist book, I should say. There was nothing novelistic about it, and that I didn't feel there was any feminism in that book at all. It was outright tosh. It was a terrible book, but also the elements it tried to introduce that, which I'm fairly sure someone would put feminism in giant quotation marks around it. I don't think had anything to do with equality or helping women or anything else. It was kind of like a side glance to the audience going, men, huh? Pfft, bastards, a lot of them. This book and its kind of social mores was not like that, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether it was going to be the cliches that you kind of hear with feminist literature, and like all good cliches, there's an element of truth to those cliches, or whether I was going to get something far more studied. And what I got was something far more studied. The little vignettes of people's lives, again, has the same problem. I think she was probably dismissed quite a lot because there's a little bit champagne socialism about it. Everyone in her books are very much fairly well-to-do. So there is the wife of a Republican senator. There is people who all own their own houses, who all have money in the bank, who all have the ability to go travelling for 2 years without really being a problem. Doctors and lawyers and artists, people who are essentially self-sufficient through their own means, and there's a little bit of I can see how some people could dismiss what she said at the time, and even now, on the basis of, well, it's all right for you to think that, you're rich, you'll be fine. The rest of us, we have to live in the shit. It's different down there. And I can understand why people kind of level that accusation. It's the same that people level at the likes of, I don't know, Russell Brand and Thingy Allen, whose name I've forgotten, the singer. Yeah, her. They've made their money, and it's just a brand of champagne socialism for them now, and you can just discard what they say because they're rich and they're fine. I think it's a mistake to I think it's certainly a possible mistake to discard the stories on that. I do think there is some of the stories I think would be different if Gilman wrote about different people. She kind of has the idea of feminism as being very much what feminism should be. Is that a dangerous phrase to say? About equality amongst all the people. So the stories kind of finish with the people finding out more about each other, or being more in love, or being more equal. So the wife who doesn't appreciate her husband, it's contrived so the husband goes travelling for 2 years, which will make him happy and a better person. And the fact her husband is gone for 2 years means the wife has to grow as a person and appreciate her husband. And at the end of those 2 years, when they get back together, they're better people. It's a better relationship. It's a better life. The woman who doesn't want to lose the house of her birth to a man who's very much trying to get it on the cheap. She uses her steel and determination and hard work to enable herself to keep the house. to the detriment to the detriment of our children almost. So there's an interesting little balance there. But the overriding kind of theme, I think, that comes out through the Yellow Wallpaper and other stories is that, you know, sacrifice is a key element of being happy. Almost every single person, not every single person, but every single story requires someone to make an element of sacrifice. Whether it be, you know, their spare time or their lifestyle or their autonomy or their ego, someone has to make a sacrifice in order for everyone to be more equal. And that's the one bit that kind of grates on me a little bit. I don't think that's always necessarily true, and certainly if you move this further down the classes, it's definitely not true. The story in particular that stands out is the story where a woman tries to woo a man by changing herself towards what she thinks he wants, and in the end he begs her to change back, because the woman she changes herself into isn't who he wants the other one. But the woman he wants is entirely due to her class, really, her ability to do her things as a class. It's a very confusing sentence that didn't work at all, did it? So she's an artist, she's a musician, she sews, she embroiders, she plays beautiful music, and they're this kind of artist's enclave. She falls in love with this man. She's told by her friend, "Oh, you need to become a domestic goddess, essentially, in order to woo him." And she goes about it. And at the end of the story, he says, "I love you, but I don't want a domestic goddess. Could you please, perhaps, you know I've been told you love the cooking and loving the cleaning and everything else, but, you know, for me, would you just be an artist? I know it'd be a terrible thing for you. Just be an artist." And she's like, "Oh, fantastic, I can just be the person I want to be, and you can be the person you want to be, and we can be the people we want to be." And yes, okay, it's a good story. It's a story about necessarily not changing who you are for other people. But, and here's the big but on this particular one, some people don't have that choice. They don't have, if you're spending, and I'm thinking going back to the Roddy Doyle book, Paula Spencer. If you're Paula Spencer, who works, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day doing cleaning, and it's back-breaking, horrible work, and you come home exhausted from it, do you have the ability to find love in the same way that it's suggested to in the Yellow Wallpaper? Do you have that ability to just express yourself and woo someone as being an artist or being a musician, or the qualities that he found attractive in her weren't her ability to cook and clean and be domestic. It was the lighter side of things. It was the fact she was an artist. It was the fact she was a musician. So where does that leave the people who are stuck into a life of domestic drudgery? What does that story say about that? And indeed all the stories in the book have a similar issue, in that the people involved in them are able to change their lives at a drop of a hat due to their financial security. Again, be it they can just go away and travel for 2 years, or they have a spare flat they can just rent out or turn into a nursery in one of the stories, or they have the ability to charge massive amounts of money for music lessons. Again, the talent which is at the music also being supported by a classical musical education thanks to her upbringing and the money that supports it. So can any of these lessons actually be taken down to classes where a daily lifestyle of drudgery is actually the norm? I don't know, but then I haven't studied feminist literature. Maybe, but maybe that's further down the line. Maybe that's later novels. These stories span 20 years. The first one's in 1892, and the last one is, I think, 1917. I think. In the front, I think it tells me, yeah. So it's either 1914 or 1917. I'll say that one second. 1914. I was close. 1914. So 22 years. It spans, and that's a significant period of time. And it's leading into the suffragettes, and it's leading into all the social gains that women have made over the last 150 years, which is not insignificant. And there's still work to be done. There's still work to be done for everybody, I think. I think there's a very small group of people in the world who actually have it good. Everyone else has it sucky one way or another. I've lost track of what I was saying. So yes, the stories are good, and they definitely have an obvious point to them. There's a simplicity of story there that I appreciated, in the same way that I sat and hunted for meaning in some of the other books, like The Unbearable Lightness of Being. Take that as an example. That was a book whose point and whose ideas were so couched in flowery language, whose themes were so layered as to make them a mess. It was an impossible book to occasionally try and justify in your own head because of the all the other stuff you had to sort through to actually get to what the author was trying to say. There's none of that in this. The stories are very obvious. They're very straightforward. As the kind of the little foreword says, she wrote her own monthly magazine, which was called The Forerunner, and she wrote essays on economics, social issues, and she included these stories and serialized novels in the monthly magazine. So she obviously used these to kind of prove the point, or the theme of whatever that monthly magazine had been. So if there was one monthly magazine on, don't change yourself for men, girls, it's a bad idea. Or really what it should be is don't change yourself for anyone, people, it's a bad idea. The story about not changing yourself for someone else would be the supporting novel in it. And I like the simplicity. I like the fact that the point is obvious. It's almost they almost become fables and everyone remembers the fables because the point of them was so obvious and straightforward. And you read the fable because it was a nice story, but you read the fable because it also had the point. These kind of fall into the same category. The stories are fables as much as they are anything else, and I really like that. I really like that as an idea. And yeah, so is this book worth reading? Yes, absolutely, definitely. The Yellow Wallpaper in itself, if you like Lovecraft at all, the Yellow Wallpaper, it's not a long story. It's a tiny little story. It's 15 pages. It is a short story. They're all short stories, but it's a great little proto Lovecraft before Lovecraft was Lovecraft. It's a nice wee story. The other ones, yeah, by all means, they're nice little stories. They'll make you think. The characters in them are well written. The scenarios are well written. The suggestion of intimacy is there without being explicit. It's just a fantastically well written group of short stories. And I think I'll go and hunt down some of her other stuff and see what they're like, because this was an enjoyable read. So yes, you should definitely go read this book. I highly recommend this book, and it's not a long read. It took me 90 minutes this afternoon to read through. It took my lunch hour basically, and a little bit of yesterday to read through. So it's not a long read. You'll appreciate it. I'm sure her estate will appreciate it. Go read this book. So next time round will be The Wolves of Calla, probably. So I'm running out of short books to fill with, so I might need to take a slightly longer one, make sure that's read, and then do The Wolves of Calla, and if I finish The Wolves of Calla before Sunday, then I do The Wolves of Calla, and if I've not, then the other filler, which I know has read. But I'm now up to hundreds of pages again for the novels. I just didn't expect just such a heavy, life as well. Life gets in the way, especially work, which is restricting my time to read. But just such a heavy wodge of books that Dark Tower was going to be. I thought it was going to be easier going than this. But no, the book requires you to kind of pay attention, which is fine. So we'll see what it's going to be next Sunday. It's either going to be The Wolves of Cala or it's going to be a filler. Not probably the filler I'm going to make. So there's the smallest book I have will be a special guest reviewing that one. But that's not going to be yet. That's not going to be yet at all. So we'll see what it's going to be. Hopefully, Wolves of Cala next. That's the plan. So yes. Anyway. This is reading for charity. We're currently reading for the Archie Foundation. It's a fantastic charity. It helps sick kids in the northeast of Scotland. If you've donated to the charity before, thank you very much. What's stopping you donating again? If you've never donated, go on, throw us some dosh. It can only be a couple of quid. None of it goes to me. It'll go straight to the charity if you use the Just Giving link. It's a really, really good thing to do. It will make you feel more like a human being. It will increase your height. It will make you more virile. It'll even help you get over that drinking problem you've been trying to get over for the last 10 years. It's a good thing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. This has been Reading for Charity. I will speak to you all again on Sunday. Good evening.